Are you looking for a new whiskey adventure? Then climb in and buckle up. Get ready for one hell of a ride on the Whiskey Trip podcast with your host, Big Chief. Join in as he and his guests explore whiskey and dive into whiskey stories from around the world. Now here's your host, Big Chief.
Folks, you know, here on the Whiskey Trip, we celebrate more than just the pour in our glass. We celebrate heritage, tradition, and the stories that make this country what it is. That's why I'm proud to tell you about our friends at the Heritage Flag Company. These aren't just flags, they're handcrafted works of art built from whiskey and bourbon barrels that once held the spirit we all love. Every cut, every nail, every burn mark tells a story of patience and craftsmanship. Just like the whiskey we sip, these flags are bold, timeless, and full of character. Whether you hang one in your home bar, your man cave, or gift it to a veteran or first responder, a heritage flag isn't just decor. It's a statement. It says you believe in freedom, tradition, and the legacy we pass down. So saddle up, whiskey family, and head over to theheritageflag.com. Use code WhiskeyTrip10 at checkout for 10% off your order. Let them know Big Chief sent you. Because just like your favorite pour, the Heritage Flag Company is made to be shared, honored, and remembered. Now let's get on to the show.
Hey, it's old Big Chief, and yeah, you're taking another ride on a whiskey trip. And I drove about 3 hours west of where we live in Orange County, Texas, and kind of enemy for me. Town. I don't like coming here that much because it's Texas A&M, Bryan College Station. But I'm here at Hush Whisper with Caleb Clanton, and what a beautiful place this place is. And it just resonates with me, with my childhood, of how you would come to downtown and go shopping. And they're, like I said, they're in the old JCPenney building here. And back in the 70s, this is where you would come shopping, downtown. Dillard's would be here, Montgomery Ward's, and that just shows you how Texas distillers reutilize old buildings. You know, you have Iron Root up in northern Texas. They're an old boat dealership. You have Steel Austin, some old warehouses in Austin. My friends down at Giant, they're in the old Uncle Ben's rice factory. Trinity River Distilling, up in Fort Worth, they're in the old ranch style beans factory. And then just even a couple weeks ago, I was at Maverick in San Antonio, and they're in an old bank building. So it just shows you that Texas will reutilize and repurpose buildings to put beautiful distilleries in. And I gotta say, this might be one of the nicest distilleries I have ever been in, and that's including all the distilleries I've been in Kentucky and Tennessee. Hands down to you guys have did a great job. And before we even get started, Caleb, you know, it's not too often I get to sit down with a fellow chief.
That's right.
Caleb is a Navy veteran. We're not going to go too deep into his background in the Navy, but he is a Navy chief, listeners. So thank you for your service. I really appreciate it. And the first thing I had to do was shake your hand and hand you one of my Whiskey Trip Challenge coins.
That's how I knew that we were going to have a good time. But thank you for your support, and thank you for your service too.
Yeah,
I appreciate it, absolutely.
Man, I am just blown away by this place, Hush and Whisper. And let's start with that. But before we start with the background of Hush and Whisper, what's this first pour of whiskey you got for us?
So we got two glasses right here. So the first is our straight rye. So this is our first expression we've released here. So it's a 2-year-old small batch blend of rye whiskey, 100% rye inside here. It's 100 proof, 6 barrels inside there, and I think it's really lovely. And then to the side, or we want to start one expression at a time? Or?
Yeah, just one at a time. So it's this first dark one right here.
It's the first dark one, that's right. So
and we talked a little bit before the show. What's the age on this again?
Just 2 years old.
2 years old.
Yep.
Well, I'm not even going to nose. I'm going to just taste this thing. I'm excited. That's a pretty beautiful rye whiskey right there.
It is. So
and I know there's some of them whiskey snobs out there, turning their little nose and their pinkies out, but this is Texas. We got some heat down here, and Bryan College Station, it gets hot here in the summertime.
It does, yeah, it does. So we have that, but we also have the humidity. So, you know, if you looked at at a heat map or even a weather report comparing us to Lexington, Kentucky, or Louisville, Kentucky, we're not too far off on average temperatures. But it's that humidity that makes a little bit of a difference here in terms of what the barrel's extracting and the flavors that we're getting inside there.
Wow, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And this might be, I think, Steel Austin and maybe Giant. I'm racking my brain if there's any other sour mash
Mm-hmm.
whiskeys out there in the state of Texas, and I don't think there is. I think most of them are sweet mash, meaning that you throw away the spent mash or you recycle it to some cattle and stuff. But
Right.
you using part of that back set and stuff, and we'll really get into that. But I wanted to point that out. This is sour mash rye whiskey in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
And we'll just get so much deeper into this. But let's start with, how did Hush and Whisper come about?
Yeah, the origin story, I was waiting to pick up one of my friends from the airport in Austin, and he sent me a message, said, hey, flight's delayed, going to be 2 hours late. I was already in there. Figured, well, I'm not going to drink before we got to drive back. I'll go check out a brew store and pick up some things for this evening, though. And when I went in there, they had an intro to distilling kit, a little 5-gallon turbo still, $150. And I thought, I'm going to make my buddy pay for dinner anyway. I'll get started with this and we'll see. Maybe it's fun for a week or 2 weeks or a month. It's just one of those weekend hobbies. We'll see where it goes. But fast forward a month later, I'd made about a gallon of vodka, and it used all of about $4 in raw materials. And I had business background. I went to Texas A&M University, best college in the country, Giga Maggies. And so I thought, hey, I was keeping track of this. I was keeping track of the time and the money spent in. And I thought, gosh, if I can make something that tastes as good as anything I can buy on the shelf that I'd be spending $30 for, and it only cost me $4 in raw materials, who's making money here and what's going on? So that kind of started the whole process in terms of learning about the industry, doing a feasibility study, making a business plan, pitching it, and then getting to where we are now.
I mean, I love it that you've leveraged like everything that I could think to leverage.
Yeah.
And you went to a bunch of other distilleries to see how to build this place.
Absolutely. So that was probably the most fun part of it. That's better than Excel, when you can say, hey, got to go visit I think 40 different distilleries, another 10 or 20 different wineries and breweries on top of that. Because we were saying, well, what makes you successful? How do you in 2010s, late 2010s even, it wasn't as mature of a market as it was now. So people were still figuring out how to do this. How do you make this successful? Hey, this could be something like going to Napa Valley. You might say, well, instead of going to Napa, let's go visit some distilleries around here. So learned a ton from visiting them, what to do right. I asked the distilling industry, as you know, it's so friendly. Everybody wants you to succeed. I think everybody wants there to be more good whiskey out there, more good spirits out there. And so learned a lot by asking them, well, what mistake would you not make again? And then somebody says, well, add extra floor drains. And if you think you have enough, then you don't, and double it. And then ask somebody else, and they say, well, make sure that you have access from all three sides on the catwalk. Like, all right, well, we can take this and all the other lessons and make sure we apply that in our distillery.
Man, did you? Now they didn't go cheap with their stills. They didn't go overseas. They actually went to Vendome. My good friend, old Mike Sherman up there, and Gina. They put you guys a 32-foot column still in.
Yeah, that's right. 32-foot column still, 12-inch in diameter. I'd say that was the best investment I ever made, was buying that in 2018. It took another 2 years for us to get this whole facility set up in a way that we could put it in. We had to cut a hole in our floor so that we could actually place it in the basement. But it was, it works magnificently, and we're really happy with what we got.
I mean, it's pumping out whiskey right now.
It is, yeah. So we're active 7 days a week, just about 12 to 13 hours a day. We're making whiskey of some kind.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
folks, and how many fermenter tanks do you
We have 12 1,000-gallon fermentation tanks.
So this ain't like some rinky-dinky operation. You made sure that whenever the distributor says, I need this much whiskey, you're going to be able to have that much whiskey.
Absolutely. So that was one of the lessons we learned. We were talking about Maine a little bit ago, since I was visiting a friend up there, and we went to a couple distilleries, and amazing products, great spirits, really, really interesting expressions. And then I talked to them, and they say, well, the problem is we can't expand. We can't shut down to change this place, otherwise we'll lose our current sales. We weren't built. They didn't build ready for success, because it takes 4 years for your 2, 3, 4 years for your whiskey to be ready, your bourbon to be ready, and then you scale up again after that. Well, you got another 4 years. It was just tough. So we wanted to make sure that we were ready for success and planning for it.
I mean, I can tell a military man's had his hands on every little detail in here. I mean, you got throw pillows on the couches and stuff, but they're not out of place.
Yeah.
The art that you have in here is not overwhelming, but it's still art. Everything has its place. The sitting areas. I'm watching my beautiful wife over there, Viv. She's sitting down in a chair, and I'm sure that it's one of those comfortable chairs, not those prison-made furniture that you get.
When we were going through styling, when we were going through our design choices, the one word that we kept coming back to was deliberate. We want to make sure that we are making deliberate decisions about everything. So, hey, how does this affect our tour path? How does this manage? We want to make sure that no matter where you are in our distillery, you can see our still. It's a 32-foot beautiful copper column still. We want to make sure that you can see it, whether you're downstairs, upstairs, at the bar. We have a mirror at the other side of the bar so that you can always see, hey, this is where the still is. We're making bourbon there while you're here. We're true grain to glass distillery, and we want to be proud of that. So, yeah.
I think you definitely, not that Bryan College Station isn't a destination. When people think Bryan College Station, they think Texas A&M football.
That's right.
Right. The second best college in the state of Texas. Hook 'em horns.
Oh man.
But seriously, Texas A&M is a force to be reckoned with. A premier university, just like University of Texas.
There's a couple good universities in Texas, yes.
But why Texas University puts out lawyers and businessmen. To me, Texas A&M was always, it puts out doctors, and it puts out farmers, it puts out
engineers,
right. Yeah. And it puts out veterinarians, is what I really know for. What's so people out there do not know what Texas A&M stands for. What does A&M stand for?
So A&M used to stand for Texas Agricultural and Mechanical College. So it used to heavily focus where you'd say, if you want to go get your law degree, you go to that school in Austin, and if you want to help shape the country and build the land, then that's where you would come to Texas A&M, and you'd be an Aggie. So you'd be a agricultural. If you did 4-H, you were probably coming to A&M, sort of thing. It's definitely changed a lot. I mean, even in the last 5, 10, 20 years, in terms of what A&M. It's one of the biggest universities in the nation now. It's got some national recognition, which is great, and it's a pretty fantastic college. Maroon looks good on most people.
There's a whole bunch of other colleges that wear it that color, but that nasty little university up there in that state north of Texas. That one over there in Alabama, that state. I don't even know what they got going on, but I still respect the college for the university for what it is and who comes out of there. And it also, for 2 military veterans, has a very big presence in the U.S. military.
Absolutely. So I think one of the things, it was a, military college only until the 70s. But one of the things that I'm most proud of is more Aggies served in World War II than the combined totals of West Point and Annapolis. So it's absolutely, and if you see an old Ag come in, then it's that they had that military experience and that military time, which there's a little bit of that shared heritage there, no matter what.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, like I said, you have to respect it. It's something that I love. But going back to Hush and Whisper, we drove up here. And first, a lot of people lately have been like, "Man, Chief, you always know what you're talking about," and that I do my due diligence. I want to do my history, and I want to understand what makes you tick. So I looked you up, and which you're very hard to find a whole lot about you.
That's good.
But I'm a guy that can dig a little deeper than most.
Yeah.
So I did find out a little bit about you, but looked at Hush and Whisper in the building you're in, and I was like, and I'm just mesmerized.
Mhm.
Tell us about the building we're in, because this thing's got some
It
history.
has some history, absolutely. So we're in the Varisco building. It was built by Brazos Varisco. He was originally an Italian immigrant and farmer, so he came here early 1900s, made enough money farming that he was able to get into real estate, and he built this building. And this was going to be kind of the keystone building for all of downtown Bryan. So first floor that we're in was a JCPenney space. They were the anchor tenant for this building. But then above you had office space, you had dentist, you had nails, professional. You had a radio tower on the sixth floor. You had all sorts of things going on here. And Mr. Varisco was absolutely a character in terms of who he was. So as went to the title office to handle some things, and they said, "Oh, you got to meet Maureen. She's got a story about the Varisco building." Mr. Varisco lost the whole building in a game of cards on a Friday night, and then won it back before they could take the title office and change ownership on a Monday. And then went to talking to the fire marshal about some things for construction. He said, "Oh, the lore and the fire station goes that Mr. Varisco used to play cards with Bear Bryant, and the mayor is upstairs." Well, that kind of tracked with some things. And then we went upstairs because he had a penthouse office on the 7th floor with access straight to the roof. And we walked out on the roof to do a little inspection. I was like, "What's this raised area right here?" And it's that's the dance floor Mr. Varisco had installed on his roof so that he could go straight from his penthouse office out to have a little dance floor on the roof and look over all of downtown Bryan. So that was, it just, when you talk about an interesting character and when you talk about the history, it absolutely has it. And we tried to include some of that. So he didn't trust banks, as many people who got through the Great Depression didn't trust banks at all. So we have 2 of his safes down here on our first floor because that's kind of a neat little throwback to what he had.
They just couldn't get them out of here. They're too heavy.
There's one extra one on the roof that is too heavy to take down. We got the first 2 legs in the elevator, and then the elevator sank about 4 inches, and we said back.
Oh yeah,
get that out of here. So, but we got 2 of them down and one last one upstairs still.
Now, supposedly there's some hidden rooms in this place.
There are some hidden rooms, yeah.
Have you found any?
I found a couple, yes. Yeah.
Are they creepy?
One of them, yes. I think any room without light gets a little creepy when you're walking through a empty building, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I had with my first wife, I had a wedding reception in this place called the Chamberlain Hotel,
Mm-hmm.
and it had a pool in the basement. It's right on Fort Monroe.
Okay.
In the Hampton Roads area, big giant hotel, and the pool is in the basement, and it, from the Art Deco era from the 30s, and it. We went down there to go swimming like at midnight, and it just creeped me out. I was like, "Nope, this is horror movie set up all day long, every day. I don't want to.
Yeah,
I don't want to do it." But this building has that aura to it.
Yeah, when we were looking for buildings, we considered a lot. It would have been way cheaper to go buy some farmland and throw up a barn and then just be there. But 1, it's hard to differentiate yourself if you do that, and then 2, it felt like this building had more life in it, more to give. We found so many stories about it. We thought this is a place where, 1, you can walk here, you can get that foot traffic, and you can be a place that people want to come spend time here, not just their entire day at, where if you were driving 10 miles out into a farm, or a ranch experience sort of thing, but a place that you might say, "Hey, we're going to go to dinner, then we're going to go grab a drink at Hush and Whisper." Or, "Hey, we're going to go do a tour at Hush and Whisper, and then we're going to go grab lunch with some friends."
Yeah. This is definitely a place you could do that at. I'm definitely going to have to come back and stay at night. And, I'd love it even if there was a hotel upstairs.
Yeah.
Where you just take the elevator up. And,
Yeah, absolutely.
Some Airbnbs.
Yeah.
I am in love with this place. Well, we got another expression in front of us. What's the second expression?
So we do a single barrel, and talking to a whiskey expert here, I'll say a single barrel.
I'm not an expert.
Well, okay. Single barrels aren't necessarily better than a mix. A different expression. What they are is different. It's maybe it's more cohesive when you get it out of that one barrel, or maybe it's just unique enough that it has some different flavors inside there that you can't pick up normally. So this one is from barrel 167. It is just over 2 years old too.
Beautiful nose.
It's got a wonderful nose. I'm really interested to see what you can pick up in the flavors too, though.
What's the proof on this one?
This is 100.3.
Well, I'll say cheers to you,
Hey,
Chief.
cheers.
I get a little bit of that licorice that you're going to get
Mm-hmm.
on some rye, but I get a little bit of this. Have you had, and I'm sure you have, sweet tart candies?
Yeah.
I get a little bit of that
Okay.
sweet tart candiness. Not too much,
Yeah.
but just enough to let me know that it's in the whiskey.
Yeah.
And folks, there's no sweet tarts in here. Just to let you know, whiskey can't have any additives.
You said you weren't going to give away any of the secrets. Okay. I thought we were read into that, I get almost a little meatiness in here. I get a really full flavor in terms of balancing it out, so it's not just a spike at the beginning or in the mid, but a long-lasting flavor that you can detect the whole time.
Yeah, for 103 proof,
Mm-hmm.
just above, the bottled in bond. A lot of flavors with this,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of notes and stuff. This one's actually a little bit lighter looking in the glass
Mm-hmm.
with color, but with a little bit more depth. And it's absolutely beautiful. What about your logo?
Yeah, so this building, the building we're in, it's kind of got some late Art Deco, early mid-century modern vibes. You can see some glazed terracotta on the outside. So we wanted to approach that when we were looking at how we were going to style the inside. And one of the things that we came up with was the, we're Hush and Whisper, but this kind of diamond icon. And we'll see if you can find it on the outside of the building somewhere. But we took some of the inspiration from the outside. We're a newer company, but we want to try to take some of that inspiration from the past and from history.
I mean, I'm just digging. Like I said, a chief thinks about everything.
You have to, right?
And from the deck up,
Yeah.
you I can see your hands in this place and just making sure everything is right. Even from you meeting us at the door,
Yeah.
and first thing you did was stick your hand out, and to me, that shows me so much and stuff where I don't have to go find you.
Yeah.
You're prepared for me. You took your time, like, hey, where do you want to set up? What's best for you? That shows me how you're going to treat your customer, I think. That's super important.
So we're here a little bit early, but I'm going to invite you to stay a little bit later after we're done with this and kind of talk to my staff, because that's everything you've described has been super important. And we try to hammer that into, I say we try, I think we succeeded in reinforcing that with our staff because it's so important. There's a lot of great whiskeys out there. There just are. But what you're going to remember is the experience that when you're here. You're going to remember how you're treated. You're going to remember how somebody helped you find a new product. One of the things we're big on here is discovery. So how many people had a bad experience with a whiskey or with a tequila, and they come in, or with a gin, and they say, I don't like whiskey. I never want to taste it. I don't want to. I know that I don't like it. I'm one of those members. I had whiskey for the first time when I was 17 or 18 at a Crider's Rodeo in Kerrville, Texas, and I threw up. And I knew after that I did not like whiskey. I said, I don't like whiskey. I don't want to try it. I don't even when we were starting this, I said, I don't want to have whiskey. And then I was up in Louisville doing a little research, still thinking maybe I can have a rum distillery or a vodka distillery. I mean, something like that.
Sure.
And a bartender, huge bar in Louisville. They had 300 something bottles behind the bar. I said, I'm just here to kind of talk to some friends. I don't need a whiskey. I don't really like it. He's like, whoa, that's not right. And I said, yeah, who are you to tell me what I like or don't like?
Sure.
And he said, well, listen, I'm not trying to attack you, but what do you like in terms of rum? And I told him, and then he said, all right, well, try this. And I'm, well, that's okay, but I don't really want to. He's like, oh, no worries. He went through probably 4 different whiskeys, and then I found one that I thought, well, this isn't so bad. This is something that I could enjoy, and I wouldn't mind finishing a glass of this. And then I bought a bottle of that at the very next day.
And what whiskey? Do you remember that whiskey?
It was a wheated whiskey. It was 10 years old. I think it was. Oh gosh, it was either Cooper's or it was a Cooper Select sort of plant. So I can't remember off the top of my head. It'll come to me in a minute or two. But I said, well, this is pretty good. And that was when I realized that I like wheated whiskey a good bit. I like a good wheated bourbon. That wheat brings that softness. It's a little bit more approachable. But when the first thing you have is wild turkey, no offense to wild turkey, I'm sure there's some good expressions, but when you're 17 at a Crider's rodeo, it's not the best thing for you. It really opened my eyes. So that's one of the things we try to do here is we say, well, hey, I'm not saying that you're wrong, but you had a bad experience because you were at a college bar. You didn't have a bad experience because of whiskey. You had a bad experience because of what you were drinking it with or because something else. So let's see if we can find a product that you like.
Sure.
And I think that's eye-opening for a lot of people who say, well, I still never am going to drink whiskey neat, but God, that Manhattan was great. I'm ready to drink that.
Sure.
And that's important for us. I mentioned when we do tours, we only have 2-year-old product, right? So I can't, unlike a lot of places, I can't say, hey, here's my 6 different bourbon expressions. Let's pick the best one. What we do instead is we make 100% distillate run of corn, wheat, rye, and barley, and we sit down and we taste you through those. And the difference is the same as bread. What kind of bread are you going to eat with your chili? It's going to be cornbread, right? You ever going to use just?
I don't eat cornbread with chili.
No. Or you ever going to make a PB&J with cornbred?
No, but
Yeah, I mean,
my wife's over there shaking her head.
Yeah.
She'll tell you I don't eat no bread with no chili.
Or what kind of
Fritos?
Yeah, well, Fritos would be good. If we can make some Frito whiskey, I'll let you know. But
that's actually it.
Yeah.
That I bet you that's doable.
Trademarked right now as of today.
I bet you that's.
Yeah.
And I think Fritos is a Texas product.
It is, yeah. It's yeah. But because of that, when you're that really opens people's minds when they can say, oh, well, just like all bread doesn't taste the same because everybody's had different kinds of bread. Not all whiskey tastes the same. So we can kind of open their eyes, and then they say, yeah, I'll try this, or I'll go for that. And that's huge for us. Even if they end up not liking Hush and Whisper, at least that way they're leaving and they're saying, well, I'm interested in trying some more whiskey some of these days.
Yeah. I mean, and you guys are part of the Texas Whiskey Association and the Texas Whiskey Trail.
Absolutely.
I know that shocks some people that there's another whiskey trail outside of Kentucky or Tennessee, but Texas, you can put the most miles on a vehicle on a whiskey trail right here in the Lone Star State.
Absolutely. And there's some great distilleries out here. I mean, Hush and Whispers joining the great company, I think, by being here and by being a member of the TWA for sure.
Oh, I mean, I think it's amazing. The difference between the trail here and the trails in those Midwest states is the trail here is going to take you a while. I had somebody like, hey, let's go over to El Paso.
Yeah. Oof.
No, not from where I live. That's
Yeah.
13 hours.
Yeah.
Even over here today, it was a little over a 3-hour drive. And we kind of drove around Houston so we didn't have to drive through Houston.
Yeah.
Just because the traffic could be so bad. But for me to go from Orange, Texas, right on the state line with Louisiana to Austin's 5 hours. To go up to Dallas is about 5 hours. San Antonio's 4 hours. And you guys are right here, and they call it the Triangle of Texas,
Yeah,
right?
the Texas Triangle, absolutely.
You're right in the heart of the Texas
so
Triangle.
if you can imagine the major cities of Texas, up at the top you have Dallas, Fort Worth. Over here you have San Antonio, and then over here you have Houston. And then in between Dallas and San Antonio you have Austin, Texas.
Yep.
Pretty great city. And then over here in between,
You just admitted it. Yep.
I said Austin was great. I didn't say anything about the university there, okay? But in between DFW and Houston, you have College Station.
Yes, sir.
And so it makes sense when we were actually looking at where to put a distillery in Texas in 2018, 2019. BCS was the fastest growing city per capita. I mean, there's a lot of growth here to Texas in general, but also to some of these cities where you can get some of this. You can say, hey, I want to live on a couple acre ranch, or I want to live in a downtown area, or I want to live in the suburbs. There's a lot of opportunities here. So
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, I came down here in the 90s and late 80s, and
different time.
It was like Cowtown here.
Yep.
I think I came here for some 4-H stuff, and then back in the day, Texas A&M, this is one of the things that I loved about Texas A&M, was the bonfires. And we got to come down here to a bonfire. Now, there was an accident in the 90s. Some students passed away, and they stopped that.
That's right. There's still a student bonfire. Yeah. It's just not it's not officiated or
it's-
ordained by the university.
And it's not as large of a
Correct.
bonfire as it
Correct.
was before. But you know, and it wasn't even a small town then. It was still
Yeah.
a big town. But now it's more of a Bryan College is more of a city,
Mm-hmm.
and you start to get that Houston creep to come up here a little
Yep.
bit. And,
Yep.
it's still part of the Texas Triangle. They,
Mhm.
you know, this place is just growing on leaps and bounds. Even over here in Southeast Texas,
Mhm.
The kings of oil over
Yeah.
there, as I like to call them, where the real money in Texas is.
Yes,
You wouldn't
sir.
think it, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean that's what plastics, chemicals, and oil over there. But this right here is what a beautiful single barrel. Especially, I know a lot of people are saying it's only 2 years old, but you know, I think it's beautiful. Where's your yeast coming from?
So we get our yeast from Firm Solutions. They're very happy with that. We've gone through a couple different strains of that to see what works
I
better.
don't know who Firm Solutions is.
Do you not?
I do know.
Okay, I was thinking. I think I saw you might have interviewed Pat Heiss before, right?
A couple of times.
Yeah.
I might have drank a little bit of whiskey with old Pat.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And Shane, you know, I know their whole story. I need
Yeah.
to get them back on and just about Firm Solutions. I think
Mhm.
a good story. If you don't know who Pat and Shane are, they still do own part of Wilderness Trail, but Firm Solutions is their baby. That's
Mhm.
what allowed them to build Wilderness Trail.
Yeah.
But a smart man
Yeah.
goes with what works.
Absolutely, they're great stuff. I think nothing but good vibes for Firm Solutions, and they've done a good job with our product. And yeah,
Now, your malted barley,
Mhm.
where do you get your malt from?
we get our malt from a couple different suppliers. We've been trying out some different suppliers, especially we've tried some more specialty malts, so some Breeze, some Ashburn, some different strains like that. But yeah, so I don't think I can say. I'd love to have we can get all of our corn from inside Texas, and we do. We have a local farmer who Lee Danina, who's about 13 miles away from the distillery right now, and he gets us all of our corn year round, and he's grown some of our wheat as well. We keep trialing that out, but rye and malted barley just don't grow in Texas, so we'd love to be able to, or they don't grow well in Texas, I'll say. I think you can get
It'd
it
be more of a specialty grain.
yeah, and so we'd love to have a little bit. We'd love to be able to do a all Texas estate sort of thing, but it's just not realistic. Those grains don't commingle as well as we'd like. What we'd like to tell people is, the place where you can get good malts or good barley and good rye typically have to be a little sadder, wetter, and colder than you get here in Texas. So
I was gonna say you can come down Southeast Texas and get wet.
yeah,
all day
but
long.
not as sad. Okay, that's the real difference right there.
Yeah. I actually think up near like Comanche, Stevensville,
Mhm.
they grow a lot of peanuts up there, and I think that soil up there would be probably better for rye.
Mhm.
And I could be wrong, but you were in the agricultural capital of Texas, really, Texas A&M Bryan College Station.
Mhm.
Hands down,
Yeah.
they know about farming, and I'm sure there's somebody at that. And I'd ask you, how you
Yeah,
guys
so
started
we've
working
worked with
it.
some of the we actually had a little impromptu tour yesterday just with the an urban planning class. So we employ a couple students. One of them just graduated, so congrats to Taylor, who graduated in December and is now a full-time distiller here. But we employ students. We try to work with the university. You mentioned we're a sour mash distillery. So when you have your mash, that's all the spent grains left over from distilling. You separate out the liquids. Portion of that goes back in to be a sour mash, where goes into the mash cooker. All the solids we take and we give that back to our farmer. And he feeds his cattle with that. And we use Texas A&M to help us with that, because they were able to say, hey, what you're giving is not just spent grains in terms of it's a waste. This is a 20% protein by volume, high protein animal feed that cows would be happy to have. I mean, they're going to be putting on that muscle, a lot easier with that. And then, we've done a couple different tours or student expedition, student association groups like that. So we try to work with the university as much as we can, because great resource, right?
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Well, we're up against our first half.
Mhm.
Two great rye whiskeys. I
Thank
really
you.
enjoyed them. I can't wait to see what you have for me on the second half.
Yeah.
Listeners, you stick with us. We'll finish up this episode with Caleb. We'll get you on down the road. We'll be right back.
The Whiskey Trip is proudly sponsored by Guardian Coins, a veteran, family-owned and operated company that understand what it truly means to honor service, story, and tradition. Guardian Coins just doesn't make the challenge coins. They craft symbols of pride, legacy, and camaraderie. From military units and first responders to distilleries, brands, and special events, every coin is designed with purpose and built to last. Here at the Whiskey Trip, our official Whiskey Trip Challenge coin was brought to life by Guardian Coins, and it represents exactly what this ride is all about. Craftsmanship, community, and sharing a great pour with amazing people. From custom artwork to flawless finishes, Guardian Coins works with you one-on-one to turn your vision into something tangible, something you can hold, collect, and pass down. So if you're looking to create a coin that tells your story, whether it's from your unit, your brand, or your next big milestone, trust the folks who know how much that story matters. Visit Guardian Coins on Facebook and tell them Big Chief from the Whiskey Trip sent you. Now pour something good and let's get back to the ride.
All right, listeners, we're back for the second half with Caleb here. Caleb, what is your, besides being a founder, what's your title here at the distillery?
I think manager fits best. One of the things whether that's fixing a plumbing leak or helping plan out our expansion, you sort of do it all. So
just the chief.
Yeah. That's haven't made that title official, but you don't stop, right? You kind of keep going. So
I know, but most people can't understand outside the military what a chief is, right? And what weight they carry with the military and stuff, and and there are new chiefs and there's old chiefs.
Yep.
So, and I don't know if the Navy reserves go through.
They still go through seasons.
Through their chief season, right?
Yes,
CCTI, the chief's call to initiation. It's like I've heard it like joining a club, but it's like joining the mafia, is what I like to say.
I think that's it's like joining a network for sure. I think that's how I might phrase it. But
network of gangsters.
Yeah, network of people that like to get stuff done. But like I was out in Japan and somebody said, "Hey, I need help. Do you know this chief in Houston?" And I said, "Actually, I do. I went through season with him. I can help you out here."
Yeah.
And that was one of those things that surprised me, because you hear a lot of stories of, oh, well, they can do this, and it's like, well, it turns out that they can because they know who to talk to. And I think that's if I was to name their superpower in one, maybe it's a chief knows who to go to get things done.
Yeah, either knowing who to go to or they've been through that situation before.
Sure, absolutely.
They've lived through it, or they have a really good friend that's lived through that situation. And,
absolutely.
And I know non-military people are like, how many situations can they go through? You would be surprised. What kind of stuff you can get yourself into. What's this first whiskey you poured in our glass?
So pulled a sample for you. So this is a bourbon sample. So this is a about 2.5-year-old bourbon sample. This is a rye bourbon. So figured break open the sample cabinet for you since you were stopping by.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Now, this is a rye bourbon that you were explaining, and you said it's a medium rye.
Right.
And what's a medium rye to you?
So we consider that in the 20% range, give or take, 5%. So primary, with all bourbons, it's got to be at least 51% corn. A high rye we would consider up in that 30 to 40 range, anywhere in there. So this is either, I think it's either 18, 20, or 22, because we tried out some of those.
Do you know what wild turkey is? What?
Off the top of my head, I do not.
I want to say that's 18 or 19%.
Yeah.
And they say that's a high rye bourbon.
That's not high. You can shove a lot more rye in there if you want,
Well, I've had up to 45 these days. We craft distillers are just doing all kinds of crazy things and stuff. And I got to say, your guys' bottle, it is Art Deco. It is very beautiful, very thought out. You just didn't stick a label on there. You just didn't stick it on there. But it fits all of your, and I'm assuming you guys got a vodka too.
We do have a vodka.
And it's the same in the same bottle.
So
that makes sense.
So we wanted to, again, trying to be deliberate. We said, we know we're going to have different products. We know, we're going to wait all of the time that it requires to make sure that we have a good whiskey. which means we're not going to release something. So what are we going to sell for the first 2 years we're here? So we wanted to have a bottle that works. But one of the things we have on our bottle, on the penthouse office, there is a glass wall that looks identical to the back of our bottle. And so we wanted to have a little homage there, which is we designed the back of our bottle to look like the view outside of his penthouse office, which was that kind of glass that's been textured in a way that has this Art Deco vibe back here.
It's almost like rain glasses.
Yeah.
I think when we were buying our house and we were putting new doors in, we wanted glass doors, but we didn't want to be able to see through them.
Yeah, you want some light, but you don't want you also want your privacy, right?
Yeah. You don't want some stranger to be able to come up here and look.
And
through.
so that ties in, with the name of Hush and Whisper. It's like, hey, here's a nice little secret here in town that you can share with your friends if you want. So
now I would expect a place like this to have a little hidden door for a speakeasy.
So if you look, well, you know what? When we're not on camera, I'll show you a little hidden door first thing. Okay. But yeah. We have some little secrets in here if you know who to ask and how to ask, for sure.
For the right place at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like I said, me and my wife are going to have to come back here, spend a night in here. Now, listeners, I got to say thank you, not only because Caleb's a chief, but Caleb's getting married, and today is his wife's wedding shower.
Yes.
Where she gets a whole bunch of extra gifts, and
she gets showered in love and attention. And
you're going to go over there and bring some.
I'm going to bring some flowers.
Is she from Texas?
She is. She's from the Conroe area.
Now you were saying what kind of flower?
Yeah.
And you were like roses. I would say go get some yellow roses.
Some yellow roses. Okay.
I mean, how can you go wrong with yellow roses?
They say there's a whole language of flowers, but unfortunately, I'm illiterate in it, and so yeah, I was thinking a nice little spring mix or something, but maybe I'll make sure there's some yellow roses inside there. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the spring mix. Either white flowers for purity.
Your wife's nodding her head. She's saying that I'm right. I think if you want, I'll get you some flowers too.
Nah, I'm all good. I'm not I'd mess with her mom all the time and say, they're just a bunch of weeds.
Oh.
If I could have all green grass, that's I want the most.
They look good. They smell good. I mean, just like with whiskey, you want something that smells good, right?
Well, I've often said about weeded bourbon, a weeded bourbon should smell, the nose on it. It should smell like you're walking into a flower shop to buy flowers for your girlfriend or your wife. You want to have that beautiful aroma.
Yeah.
Or walking down a country road, of honeysuckle. That something that
I like that tasting note, that honeysuckle. I mean, that can be a little milder too. You want, I think, I agree with you. I mean, you want to make sure that you get that complete experience from a weeded bourbon.
I mean, if you've never walked through a field like that and smelt that in the springtime, felt that. We actually were driving down the highway today, and bluebonnets are just starting to poke their.
You saw some already?
We
okay.
Did, yeah. We might be the first people in the state of Texas to see them. I don't know. But we saw some today because, the state of Texas, they just put wildflowers and bluebonnets all over the side of the roads here. And then this governor we have, I don't want to get into politics about our governor, but one of the things they have brought back is don't mess with Texas. And I love it. I can't stand to drive down a Texas highway and see trash
or litter or something.
It breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in an era when that slogan come out and don't mess with Texas.
Well, there's so much natural beauty here. We want to be able to appreciate it. Absolutely.
Not just natural beauty, but the heritage that's here. I just did an episode with Emiliano and Samantha. Emiliano's from Steel Austin. He's the head distiller there, and Samantha's the distiller out at the Garrison Brothers, and talking about the Hispanic heritage in Texas, and Texas wouldn't be what it is today without that. The name Texas, Tejas, comes from Native Americans in Spanish. So, I love the state of Texas.
Yeah,
just like any Texan. You go around the rest of the world, and
you don't have that same pride in call it Rhode Island that you do in Texas, right?
Maybe in a chicken.
Yeah.
Rhode Island Reds.
Yeah.
Well, what a beautiful whiskey! I think this thing. I don't taste the youth in this. Now your rick house, your whiskey warehouse is not here on site.
Yeah, we we thought we might be able to store barrels on the upper floor, but as we started doing that math, we were going to run out of space in about 6 months. So we do about 3,000 barrels, every single year, that's a lot of barrels. That's a lot of whiskey. And we built a warehouse. I think it's 2.9 or 3.9 miles away that we can store all of our barrels in, and that's where we go.
Now, how many barrels will that hold?
15,000.
15,000.
Yeah, we're at about 6,000 right now. Yeah.
I mean, that's moving the needle a little bit.
It is. So I think we're battling number 5, number 6 for biggest distilleries in Texas. So
it's going to be tough to beat old Giant out.
We're not going to get number 1. I know that. We're not going to, when I say we're fighting for number 5 or 6, we're very happy with number 5 or 6.
Have you been down there to Giant?
I visited Julian. I'm pretty sure I swung by a while back.
He's trying to get me to go swimming inside his still.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah.
I'm enamored at Hush and Whisper,
Mm-hmm.
and I was shocked that this is my first trip up here.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys really just did kind of a soft launch and opening stuff in 2025, really getting set up.
So we started distilling in June of 2023, opened to the public in November for some tours. It's the trouble. We're a true grain to glass distillery, right? We own the process from whole corn, wheat, kernels, any of that, from the raw grains all the way until it goes in the bottle. We own that process, and it's tough because for the first 2 years, when people came by and they said, "Hey, I want an old fashioned," I had to sell them a white whiskey old fashioned, right? And it's good, but it doesn't taste the same as the whiskey you'd buy in a Specs, in a Total Wine, in a Twin Liquor, anything like that. So being able to release the rye whiskey that we have, that's been huge for us. And we didn't expect to, we didn't plan on it, but when we started tasting through barrels, one of the hardest jobs in the industry, absolutely. We started tasting through barrels and we said, this thing is ready. This is ready to go. I think if people want this, we should sell it. And so that's what we started doing.
I mean, I agree with you. I'm very proud that you guys didn't source some whiskey, that you kept with your timeline. I think that's some things that people get in and are like, I gotta make some money and stuff. And sometimes you can't cut corners. You got to let the time take it. And when the whiskey is ready, it'll tell you. It will say, "Hey, I'm ready to go."
Yeah.
So
we're tasting a rye bourbon right now. We have most of our products, though, most of our barrels are wheated bourbon. And what we found is that wheated bourbon takes a little bit longer to mature, to get that finished flavor. We know we do head-to-head tastings, and we say the rye bourbon, a little bit, it's getting closer to being ready. But that wheated bourbon, we have our sights set on a 4-year-old bottled and bond wheated bourbon. And if we don't have it, if it's not ready at 4 years, then we'll wait until it's 5 years old or 4.5. Some of those barrels, I can tell you now, are going to be ready a little bit sooner too, just because that's the nature of barrels. There's so much variability inside there. You can put the same batch from the same day inside 3 different barrels, and you'll get 3 different whiskeys. Just that's just the nature of the industry. But we want to make sure that we're never releasing anything that doesn't meet our quality standards.
Are you gonna end up doing some single barrel picks?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have we just released a double oaked rye single barrel, but like I mentioned in the first half, when there's a single barrel is something that's unique, that's special, that you're saying, hey, this is different. Is it better? Well, they could be the same level of good, right? These are both A's. These are both scoring above a 95. But this is just something that you're not going to taste most of the time, whether that's because of heavy leather notes or the extra smokiness or, some strange combination of flavors in there. It's something that we want to highlight on it and believe that it'll stand on its own.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think is your label going to be a little bit different for the single barrel?
Absolutely. So you can see right here, it's the green label up front with the gold on the bottle for the single barrel because it's special. And then our straight rye right here, it's that white label with green on the bottom. So
and you left enough room on the back from them old tater stickers.
Yeah.
Right? That some people love them, some people hate them.
Yep.
I particularly love them, especially for it's a group. It's they get to put kind of their shine on there and stuff, and help promote their brand. I think that's very powerful. I got some pretty hard rules about single barrels.
Yeah.
I don't want to ever pick a single barrel that's the same as the standard expression, right?
Absolutely.
I don't want it proofed down to the same, it's like Buffalo Trace. There's a lot of Buffalo Trace single barrels out there, but they're proofed down to the same 90 proof. And I'm like, okay, you do get some different notes, but then you proofed it down. So did you proof it down to where it's at?
When it comes to a single barrel, I think, and I think Scotch and Irish whiskey drinkers and makers will enjoy it. Sometimes you have to proof it down to open it up the expression, right? We do something kind of like with what Still Austin does, what Nancy Fraley recommends, where we'll do a little bit of proofing in barrel. So if we're tasting and we say, gosh, this is okay, but then we'll have 6 samples out here, and we'll say difference of 2% per sample. Well, gosh, if it tastes better at 100 proof, why would I serve it to you at 110, 105, right? That's one of the things that we have to make that decision on. But for the most part, our single barrel blends are, our single barrel picks are straight from the barrel. We don't proof it down at all. This is exactly how it comes out.
Well, I love it.
Yeah.
And then I never do a review on a single barrel just because.
Well, it's so, again, you get that variability in there. Your single barrel is not going to be the same as my single barrel as her single barrel or what.
Well, then you're also just marketing it to 200 people.
Right.
And those, once you've opened it, that single barrel, and reviewed it, more than likely half of those bottles are already gone and probably drank.
Yep.
At least the whiskey nerds that I hang out with, they like to tear it up a little bit. And drink some whiskey and share it with friends.
I mean, that's the best part, is when you can say, "Hey, I got this great bottle. I know you like whiskey. Let me show it to you." And then, of course, you might have to have a second glass just to make sure that the first glass was just as good, and then the bottle's gone. So.
Well, I agree with you. Sometimes you got to buy that spare. Absolutely. Better have 2 of those just in case. I've tried this. I went on this barrel pick, and I got to make sure that I have 2 of them.
Absolutely.
For me, it's always I always got to have a spare for my brother, old Little Feather. I just, if I think a whiskey's good, me and him almost have the same palates.
Oh, okay.
And, he's a Marine veteran, so not only is
so you're the smarter one, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I can still whoop his ass too.
Yeah.
So even though he's the Marine, I'm still the big brother.
That's funny.
And he's not a chief either.
Yeah.
He's an officer. Well, you poured me this white stuff.
Yeah.
Right? What is this white stuff you got
So
for me?
I mentioned earlier, we when we first opened up, we said, well, what are we going to do? We want to have people in. We want to show them Hush and Whisper. We want to show them this beautiful space, but we don't have, I'm not going to put my white whiskey against a 4-year-old anything. So we made our vodka, which is fairly simple if you understand the process. We had our white whiskey, which is just whiskey that touches the barrel to be legally called a whiskey, and then it's put in bottles. And then we started making a gin. And we looked up some recipes, did a little work, and when the first batch came out, we said, oh my God, this is pretty good. And we kept working at it and refined it a couple times and then sent it in, and we got a 94 out of 100 at San Francisco, which is the largest spirit competition in the world. So it's a London dry gin, but it's not a, we talked a little bit about the hill country. I spent some time in the hill country clearing scrub brush as a teen, and I didn't want anything that was overwhelmingly piney. I wanted something that was a little bit more balanced. It had some good botanicals in there. And what we're left with is our Hush and Whisper original gin, which it's got warm spice notes in there. It's not overly flowery. It's just got a good balance inside there.
When you say clear scrub brush in the hill country, listeners, he's talking about the hill country is almost overrun with cedar trees.
Yep.
And they're not the kind of big cedar you would see out west. These are little bitty bushes, and they get pretty large, but they have a little juniper berry on them, and they have a funk to them.
They're not the juniper berries you would ever use in making gin.
No,
and we've tried, and they're not good there. But yeah, they're hard to get to. It's hard work. I'd put it up there with Clear and Mesquite. It's in that same level of difficulty, especially because in the hill country you don't have stable footing. And so for me, because smell and taste, that's so much about your experiences, about what your memory is. So I said, if this comes out and it's tasting like a pine tree, if it's tasting like a cedar tree, then we failed, and I don't want to see it.
Okay, we're bringing back bad memories for me of my childhood. My stepfather made us clear brush one summer, all summer long, on a ranch, and we had broken with an axe, with axes
Really?
and saws. You can imagine how bad this is.
Well, when one chainsaw breaks, the youngest person isn't the one that uses the chainsaw after that. They're using the loppers.
Well,
they're going. They're snapping through or just moving it. So.
But he took this because we broke the axe handle out of the axe, and we were like, "Oh, we're good. We don't have to use that thing no more."
Yeah.
And he took a piece of pipe and welded it inside there.
Oh no!
And then spray painted it blue, and we called it Big Blue. And I spent a whole summer using old Big Blue. It'll make you appreciate a chainsaw or anything.
Yeah.
Will work better than that old Big Blue.
Hey, cheers to Big Blue.
Cheers.
Cheers to Clear and Scrub Brush. Okay.
Yep. I got a bunch of citrus on that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, the floral notes are coming out. This would make me think that I'm in the Caribbean almost.
Yeah. So, I think there's a lot of seasonality in what you drink. Hot Texas summer, it's 100 degrees outside. It's hard to say I want to drink a whiskey neat. But if you can say, hey, I'm going to get this in a gin and tonic. Now, whiskey on ice, hey, I'll take that, But a gin and tonic is pretty nice for that. And
this
that's
this
what we
would
like.
be super beautiful. You said dry gin. I think of Beefeater. Is when I think of gin.
Yeah.
This to me, almost they would come up with a different name for craft gin.
Exactly, because we're that London dry style, but and I'm not exaggerating here. We brought in 20 people, and 19 of them liked our gin more than other gins. And we had Beefeater. We had, in terms of double blind tasting, we had Hush and Whisper. We had 2 other big spirit brands that you would think of automatically when you said, hey, this is a London dry style gin. And all but one of them picked Hush and Whisper.
Wow.
I mean, we have an amazing gin, and that's that's something I can say it's not by accident, but by a little bit of luck, we were able to come up with a great recipe that people enjoy. So very happy about that.
I love it. I love it. I can't wait to see what the future is, and I'll have to come back over here.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a couple of years, we'll come back over here for just a trip, but
Yeah.
we'll come back and do another episode in a couple of years, and especially when your weeded bourbon is ready.
Mhm.
I think that deserves a special trip by itself, and do another episode. But
Yeah.
when are you guys open for tours and for business?
Yeah, we're open Thursday, Friday, Saturday. On Thursday and Friday, it's 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then on Saturday, it's 11 to 11.
Okay. And then your bar is a full service bar?
Yeah, well, mostly. So one of the rules in Texas is you can't serve what you don't make.
Yep.
And at first that was frustrating, but we have it's made our bar staff a better bartenders. So they make their own triple sec, they make their own Campari, they make their own orgeat, they make their own bitters. All these things that we can't legally buy because we're a distillery in Texas, and these laws don't apply to distilleries outside of Texas. We can get on that high horse after this, but more money spent by alcohol lobbyists in Texas than petroleum lobbyists. That's a fact for you. So, but our bartenders, they make all of these products themselves. So when I say you get a gin and tonic here, we make the gin, we make the tonic. As soon as we can figure out how to grow limes in Texas, we'll do that too. But it's the best gin and tonic you'll ever have.
They grow limes in Texas.
Only in the valley.
In the valley.
And they die 2 years out of 3 right
Yeah,
now because of the frosts that come through.
Mhm.
So, and not here in College Station, because we would love that. So we have a full service bar that makes the best cocktails you can get within 150 miles, and it's fantastic. What they're able to do with what we have is just amazing.
You almost have to have some kind of grapefruit drink here in Texas because.
So we rotate our menus every 3 or 4 months. So we can say, hey, this is winter. We'll get some pumpkin in here. We'll get some apple. We'll get some cinnamon. We'll get some of those winter drinks. So we just switched to a new menu. We have a rye Thai now. So if you like a Mai Tai, this is a Mai Tai made with our straight rye. We've got some Thai chili infused gin. It's February 28th, and it's already 80-something degrees outside.
I know
here in
yesterday
Texas.
it was, when I was driving home, it was 86 degrees, and I'm about to mow my grass for the first time.
Yes, I did that. Hey, I did that last weekend. So when it's that hot already, you start thinking, hey, I need some tropical drinks. I need some island drinks like a Rai Tai, like a Mercury. You know, there's some good stuff we have here.
So they can come and do a tour. Where can our listeners find you guys on social media?
Absolutely. So look us up, hushandwhisper.com for our website. We have a newsletter if you want to see some of our limited releases. I have a hard rule. We will only send 1 email a month. If you get more than 2, that means somebody has kidnapped me. Call for the FBI, send me some help, because I don't want to ever be spammed, and I promise you won't ever be spammed either. We have an Instagram account and a Facebook account that's amazing too. Good posting. We have a great team that helps us out there. You're
not on TikTok or on YouTube yet?
I think we just started a TikTok this last month. So
really,
we'll see how that goes. Yeah. I'm not involved with the TikToks. My dance move's not good enough for there, you know. So, but if you want to film one, I can call Kelly and we can get you on here shortly.
My dance days are over with.
Listeners, if you want to see him dance for a Hush and Whisper TikTok, leave a comment and subscribe. Okay, that's what we need.
I don't know about all that.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty hard to get me to dance. I'll do a dance, a little jig for something though. I'll tell you that for sure.
Name that number of subscribers we need to get to for a little jig for Hush and Whisper. Okay.
I might have had to dance a little jig at a Texas distillery, me and my brother, to get them to open up the gate.
Okay.
We weren't too happy with it.
Yeah.
So we do have a giveaway in front of us. We got a bottle of whiskey, a cap, and a bar mat. This is the first time I've ever seen a distillery do a bar mat and a cap.
Yeah.
Not a cap. We've given plenty of caps, and I like that cap so much. I might have to snag myself one of those suckers. I'm a whiskey hat whore.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might have more whiskey hats than any man alive. I'm pretty positive I do.
Yeah.
And I got a listener out there that wants me to put all the hats on in a video. I think I'm gonna try to put that video up for TikTok.
Okay.
And I use TikTok for cooking recipes.
Sure.
That's where I find cooking recipes at.
Okay.
I don't know what else I find on there, but that's usually what I'd look for.
Just cooking recipes. Yeah.
No, my wife, she would tell you I love to find good cooking recipes.
What was the last good recipe you cooked?
Off of TikTok, probably this chopped steak salad.
I like that.
And it turned out.
Yeah.
It turned out pretty good. And most of them I'll send to my wife and say, hey, why don't you try this?
Yeah.
And I just did a skirt steak, a smoked skirt steak like you do a brisket.
Interesting. Okay.
It didn't turn out as well as I like, but I think because the skirt steak is so thin, I used too much seasoning. I would put on a brisket, I should have did like half
of that.
Yeah.
Was it tender enough when you were eating the salad still, or was it still a little tough?
Well, that was the steak salad.
Okay.
The skirt steak we ate like it was brisket.
Okay.
And it was all right.
I'm checking. Oh, ooh, that's a little disagreement with you right there. Yeah.
She would tell you that my chopped salad steak though, that was money.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I might be emailing you for that TikTok recipe then.
Let me tell you what. I ain't no joke when it comes to cooking.
I like cooking too. It's good. It's that's good stuff.
I can do some barbecue.
Yeah. I think cooking's that little blend of science and art, where it's a little bit more towards art. It's a little bit more about, hey, how are you feeling? Like, does this feel like it's right for you? You know?
Oh yeah. If it doesn't look good on the plate, I don't want to make it.
Oh, for sure.
Except for my chili, my world famous chili, and my chili has beans in it.
Yeah.
Piss on all you people that says don't have beans. You've never been poor enough to where you just have to eat beans.
Well, here's the thing. My favorite chili recipe has turkey chili. It's a turkey and white bean chili. So.
You are in the Navy.
Yeah, I mean, it's listen. We don't have to get into the chili purist here. That's a different podcast category. I
never thought about that. That'd be a good podcast about chili and stuff. But you would run out of things to talk about, I think.
I think once you settle the beans and no beans, then you're kind of out of content there. Yeah.
You got white chicken chili. You got all kinds of stuff. People use what kind of bean you use. And
Okay.
Like, I don't like kidney beans in my chili.
Right. Folks, double the amount of subscribers, 10 episode special on chili. Coming to you soon. Okay.
Yeah. So we have this giveaway, and I think what we're going to do is on Instagram, what you're going to do for Texas A&M, I got to think of an emoji.
You got the thumbs up emoji right there.
Is it really a thumbs up emoji?
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll do a thumbs up emoji.
Yeah.
Coming from a Longhorn fan, but a thumbs up emoji. We'll get you to tag 4 friends. We'll get you to follow Hush and Whisper on Instagram, and we'll get you to follow the Whiskey Trip. That's the giveaway. You got to share the post. I'll do the post all week long, as you know how I do it. We'll do a bunch of different reels and stuff for it, but follow it all week long. Follow every post. Share it all. Follow Hush and Whisper. Go over to YouTube and subscribe to that. But do it all week long. On Monday evening, I'll announce a winner and stuff. You know what I don't do is I don't use a randomizer, and I never will. And the reason for that is because a randomizer just picks a person that probably sometimes doesn't deserve that giveaway. I want people that follow Hush and Whisper and stick with them, and then stick with a Whiskey Trip. So, and don't think I'm not paying attention because I'm a chief. I pay attention to every little detail.
Yep.
So make sure you follow Hush and Whisper, follow me, put that thumbs emoji, tag 4 friends, share the post all week long. I'll announce a winner. Trust me, these giveaways are real. They're going out to people. You get this bottle of rye whiskey, a cap, and a bar mat for your bar. And then people are going to come over and be like, man, where'd you get that from? And you say, well, this great distillery in Bryan, College Station, Hush and Whisper, they worked with the Whiskey Trip and they put up a great giveaway.
I'll tell you what, too. You put a horns down in that post also, and we'll Hush and Whisper will send you a free tour experience when you come in here, all right? So you give a thumbs up, you write horns down in there, we'll get you a free tour for you and 3 friends whenever you want to come into town, all right? Listen. You got to commit all the way here. Yeah, I think you're going to be looking good in some maroon pretty soon.
Bonus if you're a Texas A&M fan. Absolutely. I'll give you a bonus if you're a Texas
Absolutely.
A&M fan.
Yeah.
Because no true Longhorns fan is going to do that.
Hey, it's 4 free tours and a bottle of whiskey of great whiskey.
That's pretty. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, Caleb, man, I have enjoyed this. I always cherish the time I get to spend with any other chief out there. That was a bonus for me.
Absolutely.
That's like opening a door and you meet a chief and you're just like, man, I feel comfortable now.
That's exactly what it was. It felt good. Yeah.
Yeah. I know when I handed you the coin, you looked at it and you're like, oh, shit.
Okay. I was like, I recognize this guy now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on, telling me about Hush and Whisper, telling the listeners about Hush and Whisper, and sharing the whiskey. Any last words for listeners out there?
No. Well, sure. I'd say, hey, thanks for making it through the end of this podcast and hearing us talk about the great spirits we have here. If you want to swing by, we have great whiskey, gin. We have an amazing tour. It's a really good time. And look for us in Specs, Total Wine, and Twin Liquor because we're expanding now. So that's all. Yeah, thank you, Mike. Great time. Amazing podcast.
Appreciate it.
Can't wait to listen to it.
Well, listeners, you know where you can find old Big Chief at. You find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and now YouTube at the Whiskey Trip. If you're listening to me on Apple Podcasts with the Bourbon Life, listen to Mark and Matt. Listen to their episodes. Leave them and me a 5-star review and some comments. I don't want none of them 1-star comments. It just, hey, just send me a private email if you don't think I do something good. I'll respond back to you. But those 5-star reviews, those comments, I love them. It helps open up the doors to distilleries like Hush and Whisper. It gets great guests on here like Caleb. Gets great whiskey in my hand like their rye whiskey. Gets great gin in my hand like their gin. It really does help out when you write a great review for us. If you write it on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and copy and paste it over on my Facebook page. I always love seeing those reviews on my Facebook page. I really appreciate it. Keep sticking with me for these giveaways. Stay on this ride with me. I'm paying attention to who stays with me. Make sure you're going on that YouTube and leaving comments on there. I'm paying attention to who's riding along and taking these rides and stuff. And for events I'm having, a big event I'm going to be at, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be over at New Orleans Bourbon Festival. I'm going to have a seminar on the Friday, or maybe 2 seminars if I can talk them into it. So New Orleans Bourbon Festival, I think it's on the 20th of March. You want to make sure you check that out. And then up at the Texas Whiskey Festival in Bee Cave, Texas, I'm going to be up there with a whole tribe of folks.
We'll be there.
They're all wearing my Bourbon Bullshitter t-shirt.
Yeah.
So make sure you check that out. You never can tell. I might have a backpack with me. I might have some goodies in there. So come support that great event. I believe that's the 18th and the 19th.
April 18th, absolutely.
18th, yeah. I'll just be returning from Mexico, so yeah, great time. Don't miss it. And I might even have Little Feather with me. If you see us together, maybe just walk the other way. But this is Old Big Chief, and thanks for taking this ride with me, baby.